What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NBA High Five video with your boy. Sorry I have not done many High Five videos this week. It's because it is back to COVID season pretty much. There's a lot of crazy shit going on in the NBA this week. It has been wild. A lot of like last minute starter news, a lot of teams down to like 8-man rotations, and it's just wild. COVID is running back through the NBA, so it is tough to choose the right values because there's so many of them and all types of stuff. But we're gonna try to do this as best as we possibly can, and one of these days we're gonna get a huge score once it does hit the right score. So let's go ahead and get into this. We got a lot of stuff to go over. I mean, we still got a lot of COVID protocol issues knocking guys out of off of teams right now. So there's just so many spots to go, but I'll touch on my favorite spots to grab a hold of today. And I'm not going to keep up too much of your time. Drop a like down below, comment anything in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, and hit up greenlightdfs.com to join the squad. All right. By the way, NFL final look. I will do a video for that after this one. It is wild in the NFL as well. A ton of COVID issues over there as well. So I'll try to break that down as much as I can after this video. On top of that, we have two games tomorrow, which is not normal for NFL, but we got two Saturday games. I will be for greenlightdfs.com, all NFL weekly members. I'll be providing for each showdown, each game's showdown is what I'll do. I'm not going to play the two-game slate. I'm going to do each game individually for Showdown. All right, so that's what we'll be doing tomorrow, and then NFL main slate as normal. We are going for 11-4 on the season for this main slate. So excited to get into it. But let's get into this NBA. Not going to wait keep up too much of your time. I mean, my high five feels pretty obvious to me here. I mean, Sacramento's one of the teams really going through it. You got Milwaukee really going through it. I mean, you've got so much value on this slate, man. It's going to be one of those days, man. But here's what the optimizer really loves, and obviously I agree with it, seeing these are my projections. So, starting off at point guard, I'm going to start it out with Drew Holiday. I have Drew Holiday projected over 45. Look, man, Bobby Portis is out. Giannis is out. I mean, so many people are out from Milwaukee. If I even sit here and try to name them all, the whole video, it's going to take up the entire video. All right, so Milwaukee is just incredibly thin. Opportunity is there. Drew Holiday is a guy with the talent to drop 50 bombs. It's kind of a revenge spot here in New Orleans, so it's interesting to see how he does here. I love Drew Holiday. Getting him under 8K with all of these injuries, man. I mean, this dude is just an elite talent, priced at 7.9, especially with the situation that he's in today. At shooting guard, I have a value I really love, and that's going to be Davion Mitchell. If I sort point per salary, you will see Davion right here. I have him projected over 32, which will probably make him the best value on the slate. Let me go to all. Yes, Davion Mitchell projects out as the best value on the entire slate, and for good reason, man. Sacramento's incredibly thin. He's going to get good run here. You've got Fox out. You've got so many guys out for Sacramento that Davion Mitchell is going to get a good little solid bump. I like multiple guys for Sacramento today as well because their prices seem still too low with all these people being out. So I really like Davion Mitchell a lot. Another guy that sticks out to me that might be a little slick that I have projected up so he pops in some optimals is at 3-3 Austin Reeves with no Russell Westbrook is very interesting to me. Tristan Thompson, Sacramento, not only no Rashawn Holmes, no Alex Len, no Marvin Bagley. They are beat down. So me too. Tristan Thompson, Damian Jones even as a big. DeMarcus Cousins for Milwaukee is a solid value as well at 3-1. He's the second highest point per dollar value on the slate for me, projection-wise, as of right now at least. Because, I mean, Bobby Portis is out as well as already having Brooke Lopez already been out and all these other injuries for Milwaukee. I mean, they just have no bigs, and this is a solid spot for him here at only 3-1. So he should easily hit value in my opinion. I have him projected almost 23 at 3-1. So he obviously grades out well. There's so much value on this slate, man, that it honestly makes me want to spend up. But here's what I'm going to do. So my top projected player on the slate is Jokic at 12K. Here's what I'm going to do, though. I'm going to take a step down and go here with LeBron James. No Russell Westbrook. All right. No Westbrook on this team. LeBron James is going to do a lot more running the point like we used to see him back in the day. He's going to run that point. He's going to have the ball in his hands way more. And at 10-4, his upside is crazy here against Minnesota. I mean, look, It's just he's getting a very solid bump. Him and AD both are getting a very solid bump with Westbrook back off the floor. Solid matchup against Minnesota. I side with LeBron because he's going to have more of the ball control duties. You know, he's really going to be vintage LeBron, who really having the ball in his hands majority of this game. And when that happens, he's got more upside than, I mean, he's got as much upside as anybody else. Jokic has been absolutely balling out. So if you could possibly figure out how to get both of them, go for it. They're my top two projected players by a good margin, too. You see the difference between AD as the third highest, and then LeBron and Jokic are just in a league of their own up here. 5 points ahead for LeBron, and then way up here for Jokic. So I love Jokic, don't get me wrong. For GPPs, I think the ownership will be on LeBron. For GPP, I like Jokic. So I have him projected right at the range for Jokic where he pops up in a good amount of optimals if you're building a multiple lines, which I think is the right way to go for GPPs. And as you guys know, with the Greenlight Optimizer, I try to really side for the GPP route because I really want people to, you know, play a little bit of the lowerish owned route, not go too crazy and play guys that like are going to be 0% owned and should not be played at all and have no good reason to be played, but the guys who have good reason to be played but just are being slept on. And kind of, especially for GPPs, if we can take advantage of a possibly low owned Jokic, if that happens to happen with LeBron James with no Westbrook, then I'm completely fine with that for GPP, especially even if he is more expensive. I mean, there's so much value on the slate, it's good to go. So I'm not going to hate you if you decide to go Jokic over LeBron. I completely understand. Like I said, I have them right here with each other. You see point per dollar, I have them right there with each other. When it comes to the spend ups, I have AD even point per salary higher. But honestly, it comes down to one of these two, okay? One of these two, if not both, will be in my fave today. All right. It just comes down to how much value we absolutely have. And if I can possibly get both, that'd be even better. But we do have amazing value, as you saw when I sorted point per salary. And look, man, you guys get free access to my personal projections. This is my personal projections. You can get an idea of what I'm liking on this slate personally. Every package you get at greenlightdfs.com, you get access to our optimizers. We have NFL and an NBA optimizer. So this is the NBA. You get access to this when you get your subscription, your membership, whether it be daily, weekly, season long, whatever. You get free access to this. So make sure you take advantage, look through this, play around with it, and really, build some lines with it. This is the lineup builder that I'm using, that I use in the videos. With this lineup builder, you're able to just like kind of go through and just put lineups together. And then you can literally click on new lineup and this one will save. And then you'll be able to create another one and just mess with them. You know what I mean? You can also hit optimize and fill the rest of the spots if you come to a point where you got, let's say you have a core of 6, 7 guys that you put in. You can click optimize and it literally fills those spots for you without you having to, worry too much about it, especially near lock. Last couple nights have been so wild with this COVID stuff and weird rotations and stuff like that that I haven't been able to update as of like 30 minutes before the slate. But today I'm really going to make a conscious effort to make sure that this is updated all the way up until we go until go time. All right. So, anyways, let's go ahead and keep going. So we got Drew Holiday, we've got Davion Mitchell, we've got LeBron James. Let me go ahead and sort point per salary real quick. And let's take a look. So, as I said before, DeMarcus Cousins, one of my favorite values on this entire slate, and I really, really do love him. I'm going to get another mid-range guy because value is everywhere today. And I'm going to go Chris Middleton here. Look, Milwaukee is so thin in a plus matchup against New Orleans here that Chris Middleton at 6'7" is just criminal. He's just way too cheap. The fact Drew Holiday's almost 8K and Chris Middleton's under 7 is just ridiculous. Like, if I had to choose between the two, which I don't want to, obviously, I have Drew Holiday protected at 45. I want both. But if I had to choose one, it'd probably be Middleton point per salary. Let me see. So I have Drew Holiday I have Middleton at 6.2 point per dollar, and I have Drew at 5.7. So that's for good reason. Middleton is the point per dollar play if you had to choose one, but I don't recommend you force yourself to choose one. Last but not least, I have a good gut feeling about Tyrese Halliburton today. With Fox off the floor, I think Halliburton's really going to take over for this offense. Harrison Barnes hasn't been doing it lately. He hasn't been doing much for this team. They're incredibly thin. They need somebody to show up here against Memphis, or they're going to get beat by 70. So Tyrese Halliburton's in a fantastic spot here. I think, regardless of blowout, I think Halliburton's one of those guys where, you know what, let him get his 30, 35 minutes here, maybe even more. If the game stays close, Halliburton could play like 40 minutes. Like Davion Mitchell, these young guys could play a ton of minutes in this game. Me too is another guy at only 3.7. He has shown upside. I mean, they have nobody. Okay, so once again, it's like, man, this like I love where we're at so far on this slate because really the projections and where I have the point per dollar lined up really feels like locked in for me. Like I love these guys that you see on the on the value right here that we have on the top point per dollar here, but I'm going Tyrese Halliburton just because they're missing so many guys. Tyrese Halliburton's going to have more ball control possibilities here, and the more he has the ball in his hands, the better. All right, so it really comes down to Halliburton or Buddy Hield. I love Buddy Hield a lot as well. I just have Halliburton projected higher. Halliburton is almost 1,000 more, so if you want to save off Halliburton and go Buddy Hield and save 700, completely understand that. I have Buddy Hield at a 5.9 point per dollar, and then I have Halliburton at a 6.2. So Halliburton still grades out better at a 35 projection, but Buddy Hield's right there, so it's not too big of a difference. But anyways, this is a fun slate today, man. I have a strong feeling that about 30 minutes, 20 minutes before the slate, we're going to have like some surprise starting news, some things that we might not expect all day to kind of hit out of nowhere. One thing I wanted to mention that happens a lot is just because somebody gets a spot start, like an unknown name, right, gets a spot start, doesn't necessarily mean he's locked in for a ton of minutes. All right, one thing that a lot of people do tend to make the mistake on, and I've made it even, you know, when a bare min unknown player that I've never heard of who just got brought up from the G League gets a spot start at shooting guard or something, right? And he's 3K, and I'm like, oh, gotta grab that value, blah, blah, blah. I grab that. I used to back in the day. Now I'm a lot better about it. But a lot of people will grab that value and just run with it and hope for the best. And then he ends up playing, even though he started, he ends up playing 15 minutes, getting you 8 points and really screwing your lineup. So just because of the spot starts, we're going to have a lot of that right now with COVID and stuff. You're going to have a lot of unknown 3K guys getting spot starts. Now, if you feel comfortable with their minutes, like if it's an incredibly thin team, like a Sacramento, Milwaukee, these teams that are incredibly thin, then you can feel comfortable with these guys probably getting the minutes you need. But if it's not, then you can probably kind of, get off of that for one of these other values that are on a super thin team. Like these teams down to like an 8-man, 9-man rotation, their guys are going to get so many minutes. They're going to be forced into so many minutes. So I really like this slate today. It's going to be very interesting. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Davion Mitchell, LeBron James, and Tyrese Halliburton is the core. Like I said, I really love Jokic and LeBron as my top two spends on the slate. If you can get both, then cool. If you try to get both, you're probably losing a Drew or a Chris Middleton or something like that. That might be doing too much, but we'll see as the slate goes on how great a value we have pop up for us. It does feel like a day where, man, the value is amazing. We do have some very safe feeling cheap value on the slate that's going to make this slate really fun and some really big upside potential today. So I'm excited to go into the weekend with a bang. Make sure you grab your NFL Week 15 packages before tomorrow because I'll have the 2-game showdown slates for tomorrow. We will be playing each game showdown tomorrow. So make sure you do that. All right. Thank you guys for joining me as always, and I'm out. Peace.